Content Marketing Academy, it's Chris here. I'm here with Kallum with a K from Acorn Enterprise. A few people have been asking about 3D printing, and they've got a 3D printing unit here with lots and lots of examples, and they do workshops and training and all that kind of stuff. So I've asked Kallum to spend a few minutes with me just now to show us what 3D printing is all about and what it can actually do and how it can add value to your business. So I'm going to switch around and we're going to hear from Kallum and find out a little bit more about 3D printing. Hi Kallum, tell us a little bit about 3D printing and what it can do.
One of the misconceptions at the moment is it's a new technology. It's actually been around since the 70s or 80s, but recently it's now become more acceptable for the normal person to have it. So you get hobbyist machines which are a bit not as advanced as our one, for example. They're a few £100s, so it's quite believable in the next few years that more people will have them at home. They're not great for mass producing anything, so there's a lot of things that they can't do. But let's look at what they can do. They're great for rapid prototyping. If you have an idea for a product, instead of sending it abroad, which can take a long time, it can be very expensive because you have to traditionally get things moulded, which is very labour intensive as well. We could potentially take an idea that you have in your head, you could see it printed in front of you, it could be ready in 24 hours in effect, which is absolutely staggering. It's revolutionising a number of industries. Would you believe there are jets flying in the air right now that have 3D printed parts in them? Equally, we're looking out to the car park there. Some cars now have parts in them. There's a guy walking around just now, there's a TED talk all about it, who's got a 3D printed bladder, has it for 10 years, and he's fine. So we've not quite got kidneys, car parts, or airplanes. Oh, actually we do have an airplane. Don't try and fly in this one though. That was 3D printed. This digger, this is our favourite, our showpiece for example. This came out in one piece and it moves, which is staggering, you know, and also the wheels move. That took about an hour and a half to print, which is again staggering. We are, as Chris mentioned, Acorn Enterprise. We can do promo stuff. That's going to be a door plaque somewhere around here. And we would be without a 3D printed acorn. I don't know how clear this will come up on the camera, but if you can see, there's actually a honeycomb structure inside the acorn itself. And how it works, if you imagine it, we can see the printer here. Open this window so Chris can get a good shot in here. It's very simple. Imagine you've got at home, if you're making cakes, an icing bag or a piping bag. The saying is, if it can be extruded, it can be printed. So if Chris will pan around to the back here, you'll see a plastic spool. That's all it is. It's a real plastic. It goes into the back here. Take the hood off. It's pinched between these two motors, which allows you to very accurately determine how much is taken out or extruded at one time. And it just very accurately, very quickly, the head moves backwards and forwards and gradually comes out like a piping bag and builds up in layers. As I say, that took an hour and a half to build up, and it's just built up in layers. And that's all it is at a very simple level. Builds up in layers and you get some fantastic results. And that's where we are with 3D printing. And as I say, more sophisticated machines can print wood, ceramic, metal, and even all at the same time. So for us to do that, we could in theory print other materials than plastic, may jam the machine. So I'm not willing to try it, but I know people that are printing in this very building in ceramic, for example, which is mind-blowing. And that's where we are in the industry. So, Chris, did that answer any? Do you have any other questions for me? Or
yeah, the only question I've got is what value does this add to businesses in Fife? What should they be thinking about? What's the potential here?
Potentially huge. So you see here, we've got a necklace. So particularly in the creative space, there are things that you can only make using a 3D printer that you just cannot make, for example, with any other type of manufacturing or traditionally. So imagine you've got two interlinking hoops. Traditionally, what's called subtractive manufacturing. To do that traditionally, you would have a big bit of wood or whatever and whittle it away till you got that. So you imagine very wasteful. 3D printing is additive. So it would just simply make those two, use a lot less material. So, and for new ideas as well, for iterations. So instead of, I've got this idea for a product, make this, and then you go, actually, I don't like that stork being there. I want that wider. Again, that could be the next version made the next day. At the moment, Chris, that would take a few months to come back and go away and to be shipped. So creatives, big plus. Manufacturing just speeds up the whole process, lead time. And again, it just saves cost because, as I mentioned, the interlinking loops uses a lot of wastage at the moment. So particularly for manufacturing people and creatives, it's going to be huge. And as I said already, it's just challenging every industry, from furniture to everything else. And over the next few years, that's the big thing we're going to see. It's just going to be challenging a number of industries that we won't expect it to. So I find it so exciting.
Oh, thanks very much for that insight, Kallum. I think it's a great thing. I just wanted to share that with everybody, give everyone a feel for what 3D printing is all about, and maybe put some links to the TED Talks and things like that into the comments below as well. Got any questions for Kallum on 3D printing? Just fire them into the comments and we'll get stuck in.
Please do. Don't forget to be awesome.